Chris Evert versus Martina Navratilova. They could not have been more different. Chris Evert played with calm control, every shot landing with quiet precision. Martina Navratilova charged the net like she had no fear of missing. When they first met in 1973, few guessed that two women from such different worlds would redefine what greatness looked like, but they did. Evert came from Florida, all discipline and timing. She trained until her game looked effortless, turning consistency into a weapon. By the mid-70s, she ruled tennis with a clean baseline game and mental steel. Martina grew up behind the Iron Curtain in Czechoslovakia, where her natural talent fought against politics and pressure. In 1975, she defected to America with only her racket bag and a belief that freedom could unlock her best tennis. It did. They faced each other 80 times over 16 years. Evert won early with her calm accuracy, but as Martina rebuilt herself into a fitness pioneer, the balance shifted. The final count stood at 43-37 for Martina. Between 1975 and 1988, at least one of them reached 56 of 61 Grand Slam finals. That number still feels unreal. Their matches became a yearly test of courage and adaptation. Evert adding topspin to handle Martina's net rush, Martina adding muscle and speed to break through Evert's wall. Their rivalry ended with deep respect. In their final match in 1988, they hugged through tears. Evert said, "We made each other better." Martina nodded. She knew it was true. And as that rivalry faded, another story began, one filled with unstoppable power, youthful fearlessness, and a twist that changed tennis forever. Steffi Graf versus Monica Seles. For a few short years, women's tennis looked unstoppable. Steffi Graf ruled the late 80s, calm and powerful, her forehand known as the Fraulein forehand. Then a teenager from Yugoslavia arrived and turned everything upside down. Monica Seles played fearless tennis. She hit two-handed from both sides, attacked every ball, and screamed after every shot. In 1990, she beat Graf in the French Open final at just 16. The next year, she took 7 of 8 Grand Slam titles. If you're loving these hidden stories, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next rivalry that changed tennis forever. Graf had owned tennis for a decade, but Seles came in like a storm, fast, confident, loud, and hard to read. Every final between them felt like a fight for a new order. Between 1990 and 1993, they met 15 times. Seles won 10th. She took 3 straight Australian Opens, 2 French Opens, and a US Open. Graf's cool precision met Seles' raw aggression. Their matches swung in bursts. Graf's slice and power against Seles' flat, fearless returns. Each point felt like a sprint. Then, in 1993, everything stopped. During a match in Hamburg, a fan stabbed Seles in the back. The attacker said he wanted Graf back at number 1. Seles survived but left the sport for 2 years. Graf went on to win 22 majors. Seles ended with 9. Many believe Seles could have passed her if that attack never happened. That single act froze one of the greatest rivalries in time. And as the sport searched for a new center, another story formed. This time inside one family. Venus Williams versus Serena Williams. No sport had seen anything like it before. Two sisters, training side by side in Compton's public courts, grew up to face each other on the biggest stages in tennis. Venus came first, tall and strong, breaking barriers before anyone believed she could. Serena followed, younger, sharper, hungrier. Together, they rewrote every rule the sport knew. Venus reached her first Grand Slam final in 1997 at 17. By 2000, she won Wimbledon and the US Open back-to-back. Her serve was a weapon, 118 miles per hour when most women averaged 100. For a short time, Venus ruled the tour. Then Serena arrived with more force, more confidence, and a backhand that looked built for pressure. Their first Grand Slam final together came in 2001 at the US Open, the first between sisters in over 100 years. Serena won and tennis changed that night. Between 2001 and 2009, they met in 8 Grand Slam finals. Serena took 7. Each match carried family pride but also quiet tension. Their father, Richard Williams, had predicted this. 2 daughters meeting at the top of the sport, sharing success yet fighting for it too. Reporters tried to turn it into drama, but the truth was more complex. They competed like rivals but celebrated like family. Together, they have 30 Grand Slam singles titles, 23 for Serena, 7 for Venus, and 14 Grand Slam doubles titles as partners. Every time they played each other, they lifted women's tennis to new heights. And while their rivalry stayed in the family, the next one split audiences right down the middle, between calm perfection and raw chaos. Bjorn Borg versus John McEnroe. One looked like he came from another planet of peace. The other looked like he might throw his racket into orbit. Bjorn Borg and John McEnroe could not have been more different, and that is what made their rivalry so unforgettable. Borg played with ice in his veins. He barely spoke, barely blinked, but his focus could cut glass. He won 5 straight Wimbledon titles from 1976 to 1980 and 6 French Opens before turning 25. Across the net stood McEnroe, loud, emotional, and brilliant. He argued with umpires, fans, even himself, yet his hands were magic at the net. Their first Wimbledon final in 1980 became a movie script on grass. The 4th set tiebreak went 18-16, one of the greatest in history. Borg won the match 1-6, 7-5, 6-3, 6-7, 8-6, collapsing on the grass after his 5th title. That final pulled millions of new viewers to tennis. In America, McEnroe became a star overnight. In Europe, Borg turned into a myth. They met 14 times, splitting them 7-7. But after losing to McEnroe at Wimbledon in 1981, Borg shocked everyone by walking away at 26. He said he was tired. McEnroe begged him to return. "Tennis needs you," he told him. Borg never came back full-time. Their rivalry lasted only 3 years, yet its impact stretched decades. It gave tennis emotion, personality, and a global stage. And once Borg left, another American stepped forward, ready to fight McEnroe on home soil. And this time, the battle got personal. Jimmy Connors versus John McEnroe. Tennis in the early 80s felt like a street fight in white clothes. Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe were both American heroes, but they shared one problem. Neither could stand losing, especially to each other. Connors came first. He was the original rebel, gritty, loud, and fearless. He won 5 US Opens, 2 Wimbledons, and the crowd loved his edge. He pumped fists, shouted at linesmen, and broke the old country club image of tennis. Then McEnroe showed up, 5 years younger, even sharper, and twice as unpredictable. He had genius in his hands and fire in his temper. When the two met, it was chaos wrapped in brilliance. Their first big showdown came in 1980 at the US Open. Connors had the crowd, but McEnroe had the game. He beat Connors in 4 sets and took the title. The next year they met again. This time Connors won, turning New York into his personal stadium. Between 1980 and 1984, they faced each other 34 times. McEnroe won 20, Connors took 14. Every match looked like a boxing bout with rackets. They didn't shake hands much. They glared. They cursed. They hit winners that made even their critics cheer. The media loved it, and so did the public, each man representing a different side of America. Connors was the working-class fighter from Illinois. McEnroe was the genius from New York who didn't care what anyone thought. Their rivalry faded after 1984, but the fire they lit carried tennis into the television age. And as the noise settled, another challenger stepped up to face McEnroe, a quiet, methodical man who played like a machine. Ivan Lendl versus John McEnroe. By 1984, John McEnroe looked untouchable. He finished that season with 82 wins and only 3 losses, still one of the best records ever. He had just crushed Jimmy Connors in Wimbledon and US Open finals. Everyone thought no one could stop him. Then came Ivan Lendl. Lendl was the complete opposite. No tantrums, no smiles, just focus. He studied numbers, diets, and match patterns like an engineer. He ran miles before practice and hit thousands of forehands a day. He looked cold on court, but that focus built one of the most consistent careers in tennis history. So, when he met McEnroe in the 1984 French Open final, most expected another McEnroe victory. McEnroe won the first 2 sets easily, even joked with the crowd. But something changed in set 3. Lendl slowed the pace, moved McEnroe side to side, and wore him down. After 4 hours, Lendl came back to win in 5 sets. 3-6, 2-6, 6-4, 7-5, 7-5. It was his first Grand Slam title, and it broke McEnroe's rhythm for years. That match became a turning point. McEnroe never won another major after 1984. Lendl, on the other hand, finished with 94 career titles, 8 Grand Slams, and 270 weeks as world number 1. Their rivalry defined two styles: art versus calculation, talent versus preparation. McEnroe played by feel, Lendl by numbers. When their duels ended, tennis shifted again. Power took over precision, and a new pair of young Europeans started their own 3-year battle for Wimbledon's crown. Boris Becker versus Stefan Edberg. By the late 80s, tennis had two new stars who brought class and fire to grass courts. Boris Becker and Stefan Edberg looked polite off the court, but when they faced each other, it felt like a chess match played at 120 miles an hour. Their serves hit lines like lasers, and their volleys looked automatic. Becker exploded onto the scene first. In 1985, at just 17, he became the youngest Wimbledon champion ever. His diving volleys and fearless attitude made him an instant legend. Edberg followed a quieter path. He had perfect timing, clean technique, and a calm focus that made him dangerous in big matches. Between 1988 and 1990, they faced each other in 3 straight Wimbledon finals, something no other pair has done since. Becker won the first in 1989, blasting serves that reached 130 miles per hour. Edberg took the other 2, including the famous 1990 final that lasted nearly 4 hours. Their head-to-head ended 25-10 for Becker, but Edberg won when it mattered most. 3 Wimbledon titles to Becker's 2 in that stretch. Every rally between them showed the beauty of serve and volley tennis, a style that soon disappeared with faster rackets and slower courts. Their rivalry showed respect more than hate. They shook hands firmly, no drama, just pure competition. Together, they kept men's tennis elegant while still electric. And when they stepped aside, a new rivalry took over the world. One between 2 Americans who carried all the pressure of their country's golden age. Pete Sampras versus Andre Agassi. In the 1990s, men's tennis belonged to 2 Americans who could not have been more different. Pete Sampras played like a machine, quiet, smooth, built for big points. Andre Agassi lived loud. He had neon clothes, long hair, and a Las Vegas attitude. When they met, it was tennis perfection against Showtime swagger. Their first clash came in 1989. Teenagers with opposite styles. Agassi attacked early, hitting flat from the baseline. Sampras stayed calm, trusting his serve and volley. The real story started in 1990 when 19-year-old Sampras beat Agassi in the US Open final. That win made him the youngest men's champion in the tournament's history. From there, their careers became a tug-of-war for American tennis. They played 34 times between 1989 and 2002. Sampras won 20, Agassi 14. Every meeting felt like a clash of identities, discipline versus flair. Agassi hit harder, but Sampras served better. In the 2001 US Open quarterfinal, they played 4 tie-break sets, no service breaks, and 100 winners between them. The crowd stayed on its feet for hours. Sampras took that 1-7-6, 6-7, 7-6, 7-6, proving precision could outlast flash. Their careers defined a decade. Sampras ended with 14 Grand Slam titles, the record at the time. Agassi won 8 and became the only man to win all 4 majors on 3 different surfaces. They respected each other more than they admitted. And as both legends aged out, a new generation prepared to take control. A young Swiss with a one-handed backhand was about to change tennis forever. Roger Federer versus Rafael Nadal. When Pete Sampras retired, tennis looked for its next king. Then Roger Federer arrived, moving like he had time to spare. Every shot looked clean, every point under control. He won 5 straight Wimbledons, 4 straight US Opens, and by 2006, many thought the sport had no equal for him. But on clay, there was a young left-hander from Mallorca waiting with a different plan. Rafael Nadal played like every rally could be his last. His topspin heavy forehand kicked up shoulder high. His energy never dipped, and his legs looked built for marathons. Their first meeting came in 2004 in Miami. Nadal, just 17, beat Federer in straight sets. That surprise started one of the greatest rivalries in sports. They met 40 times in total, Nadal winning 24, Federer 16. On clay, Nadal ruled. He beat Federer in 6 straight French Open meetings, including the 2008 final, where Federer took only 4 games, the most one-sided Grand Slam final loss of his career. But on grass and hard courts, Federer answered back. Their 2008 Wimbledon final lasted 4 hours, 48 minutes and finished in darkness, 9-7 in the fifth. Many call it the greatest match ever played. Federer's grace and Nadal's grit pulled millions of new fans into tennis. Federer ended with 20 Grand Slam titles, Nadal with 22. They stayed rivals but built real friendship over 2 decades. And just when people thought tennis had reached its limit, a new player came from Serbia who refused to accept either man as untouchable. Roger Federer versus Novak Djokovic. When Roger Federer seemed untouchable, Novak Djokovic arrived with a different kind of hunger. Federer made tennis look like ballet. Djokovic turned it into survival. He slid, stretched, and chased every ball like it owed him something. Their rivalry became a test of patience, nerve, and control. Their first match came in 2006 in Monte Carlo. Federer won in straight sets, but Djokovic studied him like homework. Within 2 years, he beat both Federer and Nadal to win the 2008 Australian Open at age 20. That win marked the start of tennis's next era. Federer had 12 majors at that point, Nadal had 3, and Djokovic had 1, but he was coming fast. Between 2007 and 2020, they faced each other 50 times. Djokovic won 27, Federer 23. Many of those matches turned into thrillers, especially on the biggest stages. The 2019 Wimbledon final defined their story. 4 hours and 57 minutes, the longest final in the tournament's history. Federer held 2 match points at 8-7 in the 5th set. The crowd stood ready to celebrate. Djokovic saved both, then won 13-12 in the new tiebreak. He lifted the trophy, but the applause went to Federer. Djokovic just smiled. He loved playing the villain. Their contrast kept fans split. Federer stayed elegant and calm. Djokovic turned pressure into fuel. Together, they pushed tennis to physical and mental extremes. But the Serbian star still had one more mountain to climb, the one built of red clay and Spanish fire. Novak Djokovic versus Rafael Nadal. By 2011, men's tennis had 2 kings, but only one throne. Rafael Nadal owned the clay, Novak Djokovic owned the hard courts, and every match between them looked like a test of human limits. They met 59 times, the most in tennis history, and everyone felt like a final. Nadal led early. From 2006 to 2010, he won 16 of their first 23 matches, most of them on clay. But Djokovic kept getting stronger. In 2011, he beat Nadal 7 times in a row, including in the Wimbledon and US Open finals. His return game broke Nadal's serve again and again. The rallies went 20, 30, sometimes 40 shots. Fans started saying their matches looked more like endurance tests than sports. The 2012 Australian Open final showed what they were made of. They fought for 5 hours and 53 minutes, the longest Grand Slam final ever. When it ended, both players could barely stand. Djokovic ripped his shirt apart and screamed to the crowd. Nadal just nodded in respect. The Serbian had won again, 5-7, 6-4, 6-2, 6-7, 7-5. Their contrast never faded. Nadal ruled Roland Garros with 14 titles, but Djokovic stayed the only man to beat him there twice. Djokovic finished with 24 Grand Slams, Nadal with 22, both rewriting every record that came before them. Their rivalry built the modern era of tennis, pure strength, deep emotion, endless fight. And while these two pushed each other to the edge, another battle quietly grew between 2 childhood friends from the same generation, Novak Djokovic versus Andy Murray. They grew up together on the junior circuit, 2 skinny kids with big dreams. Novak Djokovic came from war-torn Serbia, Andy Murray from the cold courts of Scotland. They joked, practiced, and pushed each other for years. But when both reached the top, friendship turned into a rivalry built on respect and survival. Their first professional meeting came in 2006 in Madrid. Djokovic won easily, but Murray kept improving. By 2011, both had become part of the Big Four, battling Federer and Nadal every few months. The difference was mental. Djokovic had learned how to stay calm under chaos. Murray still carried the weight of a nation waiting for a champion. They faced each other 36 times. Djokovic won 25, Murray 11. Many of those matches felt like marathons. The 2012 US Open final went 5 sets and lasted almost 5 hours. Murray finally won his first Grand Slam, becoming the first British man to win a major since 1936. The next year, he did it again, this time at Wimbledon. Djokovic watched him lift the trophy on center court, the same man he used to split pizzas with as a teenager. But Djokovic came back stronger. He beat Murray in 4 major finals, including the 2016 French Open, to complete his career Grand Slam. Both players made each other better, both carried their country's hopes, and both refused to quit. As their era aged, new names started rising, young faces with fearless games, ready to rewrite the future. Serena Williams versus Maria Sharapova. This one went far beyond the court. Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova didn't just compete for titles, they competed for space in the spotlight. Serena ruled tennis with power and pride. Sharapova brought movie star fame and icy confidence. Their matches drew global attention, but their rivalry ran on tension more than friendship. Sharapova shocked the world first. In 2004, at just 17, she beat Serena in the Wimbledon final 6-1, 6-4. That moment turned her into a global icon overnight. Endorsements flooded in. For a few months, the sport thought a new queen had arrived. But Serena took that loss personally. From that day forward, she never lost to Sharapova again, defeating her 19 straight times. Their clashes became headline events. Serena's serve averaged 118 miles per hour, sometimes even 125, while Sharapova relied on timing and grit. The problem was Serena could overpower her on every surface. Their longest battle came at the 2005 Australian Open semi, where Serena saved 3 match points to win 8-6 in the third. That match set the tone for the next decade. Off-court, things stayed cold. They trained separately, sat apart at events, and kept their words short. Sharapova once admitted in her book that tension started after they dated the same man briefly. Whatever the reason, their rivalry became personal. Serena ended her career with 23 Grand Slam singles titles, the most in the Open era. Sharapova retired with 5, but a global legacy of her own. And as this chapter closed, another generational handover began, where a teenage prodigy took on a champion who ruled before her time. Martina Hingis versus Serena Williams. By the late 90s, Martina Hingis ruled tennis with her mind. She didn't hit the hardest, but she saw the court like a chessboard. Her control, timing, and angles confused every opponent. Then came a young American with power no one had seen before. Serena Williams didn't study points, she destroyed them. Hingis won her first Grand Slam at 16, the youngest in history. By 18, she already had 5 majors. She played smooth, clean tennis built on precision. But the sport was shifting fast. Rackets got stronger, players trained harder, and raw athletic power began to matter more. Serena entered that wave like a force of nature. Her serve cracked past 120 miles per hour, and her returns came back faster than they were hit. Their first big meeting came in the 1999 US Open final. Serena was 17, Hingis 18, the youngest final in Open-era history. Hingis led early, but Serena's power broke through. She won 6-3, 7-6, becoming the first African-American woman to win a Grand Slam in nearly 40 years. That match marked a clear turning point. The age of finesse was giving way to power. Hingis tried to adapt but couldn't match Serena's strength. After injuries and frustration, she left the tour at 22. Serena went on to dominate for 2 decades, collecting 23 majors. Their rivalry lasted only a few years, but it symbolized a full shift in women's tennis, from smart placement to explosive pace. And soon, the same kind of energy began shaking men's tennis again, this time led by 2 fearless teenagers from Europe. Carlos Alcaraz versus Jannik Sinner. When Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner walk on court, it feels like watching the next chapter of tennis being written in real time. Both are in their early 20s, yet their matches already look like classics. They hit harder, move faster, and recover quicker than anyone before them. Every rally feels like a highlight. Alcaraz came from Spain, trained under Juan Carlos Ferrero, and grew up studying Nadal's intensity. By 19, he won the 2022 US Open, becoming the youngest world number 1 in ATP history. Sinner, the quiet Italian, took a different road. He grew up skiing before switching to tennis at 13. His balance and footwork still show it. He hits clean, flat, and deep. His timing looks almost robotic. Their rivalry started in 2021 and caught fire fast. The 2022 US Open quarterfinal turned into one of the best matches of the decade. It lasted 5 hours and 15 minutes, ending at 2:50 a.m. Alcaraz won 6-3, 6-7, 6-7, 7-5, 6-3, saving a match point along the way. That night, he said, "It felt like I played 3 matches in one." The crowd agreed. They've met 9 times so far, with Alcaraz leading 5-4. Their styles clash perfectly. Sinner's clean lines against Alcaraz's unpredictable power and drop shots. Every point swings momentum. These two already look like the new standard. Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic may have closed their era, but the next one started faster than anyone expected. And before this modern wave, there was one more story, an old rivalry that built the foundation for everything that followed. Laver versus Ken Rosewall. Before prize money, TV deals, or million-dollar rackets, 2 Australians carried tennis through its toughest years. Laver and Ken Rosewall didn't play for fame, they played for pride and survival. Their rivalry began in the 1950s and stretched for more than 2 decades. They faced each other over 130 times. No pair in history has played that often. Laver, the red-headed lefty, packed explosive power into a short frame. Rosewall, smaller but steady, had a perfect backhand and endless patience. They first met in 1957 as teenagers. Rosewall won that one, but Laver studied him like a puzzle. Within a few years, they were trading titles all over the world. When tennis split between amateurs and professionals, both crossed over early. That move cost them a chance to play the Grand Slams for years, but it also built their legend on dusty exhibition tours where only the best met each night. Between 1963 and 1967, they played nearly every week across dozens of countries. Laver usually won on faster courts, Rosewall on slower ones. The margin stayed razor thin. When the Open era began in 1968, both came roaring back. Laver won 11 Grand Slam titles, including 2 calendar year slams, something no man has repeated since. Rosewall added 8 majors of his own and made a Grand Slam final at age 39. Their matches turned into a bridge between old wooden rackets and the modern power era. Every rivalry since, from Evert and Navratilova to Alcaraz and Sinner, stands on the ground they built. Stay with the story. Every rivalry leaves another door open. Hit subscribe, tap like, and step into the next chapter waiting on your screen. The game always has one more twist.